All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the Akim, if you walk out who may be listening. It's your brother Batakallah from the GMS camp here in Chicago, coming back at you with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Salakia. All right, and Lord willing, this will be an edifying lesson. All right, and the title of this lesson is No Matter How Things Look on Paper, We Have the Lord with Us. All right. And, we're going to go into the book of First Samuel. I'm going to, get certain parts. I'm not going to read the whole thing through for the sake of time, Salakia. But, we're going to get certain excerpts out of the book of First Samuel chapter 17 and, elaborate on that and Lord willing it to be edifying. All right, so this is First Samuel chapter 17 and verse 4. It says, And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. He had an helmet of brass upon his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. And he had greaves of brass upon his legs, and a target of brass between his shoulders. And the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron. And one bearing a shield went before him. All right, so here you see that, our enemies, the Philistines, they had a champion. He was a big, scary motherfucker, scary looking motherfucker. All right, at least that's how most would describe him. Okay, and, it's describing basically his stature. They're telling you how much this weighs and how much that weighs and how large his weapons are, pause, to really get you to understand how big this dude was, pause. All right, now, it's although we're not physically going against anybody, or we're not physically going one-on-one with like the heavyweight champ, which is basically who this guy was at the time. Obviously they was fighting to the death, but basically this dude was a big, undefeated, gigantic motherfucker. Okay, and although we're not necessarily dealing with that in a physical sense, what we're dealing with here in this captivity is that in a spiritual sense. These devils they have everything at their disposal from a carnal standpoint. All right, and we don't have anything. All right, all we have is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right, and that's why the title is what it is. But that's all we need, and that's what this story is going to tell you. Okay, none of this shit matters. All this stuff that we're reading about Goliath and his stature and how heavy his weapons are, pause, and all this shit, none of this matters, and none of this has nothing to do with how this story is going to end. The only thing that matters about all of this stuff that's being read right now is how mighty the story is and how great the Lord looks. All right, and how mighty the Lord is. That's why all of this shit is listed, because outside of that none of this shit has anything to do with what's about to happen to this dude. All right, but it's because King David had the proper mindset, and that's the same mindset that we got to carry throughout this truth, throughout this struggle that we going through with this devil, man. Because at the end of the day, hey, they got the armies, they got the nukes, they got the internet, they got everything that they can weaponize against us, and they're doing it, and they're gonna keep doing it, and they're gonna do it in a more violent and with more of a sense of urgency the closer and closer that we get to the end, man. But you got to have the mindset of King David while all these things are being brought to bear, because guess what? All that they can really do is what just happened right here. They can tell you, oh, I got this, I got that, I'm this tall, I did this, I did that. But they're not going to be able to really do shit at the end of the day. All right? Yeah, certain brothers going to have to lay their life down, but hey, we'll do that gladly, because Yahweh Shai did the same thing for us. But at the end of the day, they're not going to get the victory, regardless of all of these things that they have at their disposal, because they don't have Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai with them. All right, let's keep reading. This is this is verse 8. It says this is verse 8. It says, and he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel and said unto them, why are ye come out to set your battle in array? Am I not a Philistine, and ye servants to Saul? Choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me. If he be able to fight with me and to kill me, then I will be your servants. But if I, it's like it, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then shall ye be our servants and serve us. All right, so this guy is talking shit, making a challenge, saying, basically in the spirit of Jon Snow, saying we don't have to have a big battle, Let me go one-on-one with your best guy, and then whoever wins, wins. All right. But see, these jakes at that particular time that was out there, they was looking at all of the advantages that Goliath had on paper, and it scared them. All right. And that's the mindset that a lot of these, I'm not talking down on those men at that time in particular, because all of those men are mightier than anybody that's around today. All you niggas today are soft. These dudes was really men of war. But the point is that in that moment, their mindset wasn't where it needed to be able to defeat Goliath. All right. And we're going to show you that what the mindset you need to have looks like. We're going to get into that, but let's keep going. All right. This is verse 9. It says, if he be able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then shall ye be our servants and serve us. And the Philistines said, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. When Saul and all Israel heard these words of the Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid, okay? Because their mind wasn't in the right place. They really weren't thinking. They were thinking in a carnal sense, all right? And we will never be able to defeat this devil thinking like that, all right? Really, what you do when you think like that, you play right into his hand, and then he is allowed to use his blessing against you, all right? And on top of being able to use his blessing against you, he can he can preserve his image because you decided to get carnal, which justifies him for using his blessing. Okay. And that's why we don't promote getting carnal with these devils. We don't tell Jake to get carnal. We are against that 100%. All right. Let these devils have their kingdom, man. Yahushua is going to come and knock them off their horse. It's not our job to do that. Okay. Even and these 2/3 too. Leave these niggas alone. Now, if somebody tries to harm you and you have to defend yourself, then you do that. We're not saying be a punk and let these people beat you up or let somebody harm you. Okay, we that because that's not biblical at all. All right, these Christians will tell you that that's how you're supposed to carry it, but that's not Christian. Or it's like it. That's not biblical. Okay. And as far as being Christian, according to how the Bible states being a Christian is and a follower of the Hamashiach, that's not his message. Okay. But these modern day plantation Christians will tell you that you're supposed to do that. And we don't promote that. But at the same time, we don't promote getting carnal at all with these devils. All right. Now, if you got to defend yourself, you do that. But really, especially when it comes to the government and the police, hey, man, you agree with your adversary quickly, man. You don't fucking kick up dust with these devils. This is their kingdom. Let them have it. Understand that the Lord is fighting for you. And, hey, whatever situation that the Lord puts you in, he'll get you out of it, man. All right? But I'm going to say it again. We don't promote getting carnal with these devils whatsoever. All right? Leave these people alone. The Lord is going to deal with them. We don't have to do nothing but preach this word, and that's it. Okay? This is 1 Samuel 17 and 22. All right? This is verse 22. And David left his carriage. And David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage and ran into the army and came and saluted his brethren. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name out of the armies of the Philistines, and spoke according to the same words, and David heard them. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him and were sore afraid. And the men of Israel said, Have ye seen this man that is come up? Surely to defy Israel is he come up, and it shall be that and it shall be the man who killeth him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. And David spake to the men that stood by him, saying, What shall be done to the man that killeth this Philistine, and taketh away reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should defy the armies of the living power? And the people answered him after this manner, saying, So shall it be done to the man that killeth him. All right, so hey, David comes to go and bring some supplies for his brothers. And while he's doing that, Goliath steps out and makes his challenge again. All right. And, Jake, all these Jakes that's out there still scared. And, they tell, David, or they're talking about what the reward will be for killing him. And David is there amongst them while they're doing that. So he hears it. And David has got that mindset of, man, you said that what's going to happen to the guy that killed him? And then David get in that, he get in the spirit. Who the fuck is this dude talking shit about us, talking shit about Israel, disrespecting the armies of the living power, ready to go and get them. And that's the mindset that we have. And that's the mindset you got to have. Who the fuck are these people? Who the fuck is this devil? All right. That's the mindset that makes you and puts you in the spirit of going outside and teaching this word, man, putting your life on the line. All right. That's the mindset that puts you in the spirit of turning your back on this society in the ways that we was taught growing up that was wicked. All right. That's what makes you stop being an idolater. That's what makes you stop celebrating Christmas and Thanksgiving and all these other wicked feast days that this devil has given us and has given us in the stead of our true high holy days that we supposed to be celebrating, man. That Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai gave us, things like the Passover, the Feast of Tabernacles, etc. All right. This is the spirit that makes you turn your back on this kingdom, and anybody else that's in the mindset of this kingdom, you turn your back on them too, man. Period. All right. Family, friends, whoever the fuck. If they're not with the Lord, it's because they hate the Lord, man. And if they hate the Lord, how can you have love for them? Okay, now I'm not saying as far as your parents are concerned that you disrespect or dishonor your parents, because that's going off. Okay, but you separating yourself and doing what you got to do is not disrespectful to your parents, man, and it's not dishonorable to them either. All right. At the end of the day, you put Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai first. And the mindset that King David, the mindset that the king had was that, hey, man, the Lord is first in my life. I'm not going to let this fucking dude come out here and disrespect us. I'm going to step up and do something. And I know that the Lord is going to back me up and is going to make sure that I'm able to do what I got to do. All right. And that's the mindset that you got to have, regardless of what situation you in, regardless of what we going through. It's brothers going through the whole gambit of bullshit in this society, man. And each of us got our own battle, and we going to have to fight, man. But you always got to have the mindset that the Lord is with you, and that all you got to do is keep fighting. All you got to do is just keep pushing. The Lord going to do the rest, man. And that's the mindset that King David had. That's why he wasn't scared of that punk-ass nigga Goliath, because he knew that if he went out there, the Lord was going to deliver him, man. And that's what those other brothers at that particular time was missing in their mindset. Now, it was for a purpose. And like I said, those are still men that are mightier than anybody living today. All right. But at the end of the day, it just shows you that even with all of that might, once again, all that stuff on paper don't matter. It's about what the Lord got to say and what your standing with the Lord is. This is 1 Samuel chapter 17 and verse 32. It says, and David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with this Philistine. And Saul said to David, thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. All right, so they're trying to, the King Saul is trying to, you know, basically let David know, like, this dude ain't no fucking, this dude ain't no slouch. This ain't no game, you know. And, you know, understandably so. He don't want David to go out there and you know, get smashed by this dude, you know. But at the end, pause. But at the end of the day, you know, David's gonna let him know that, hey, I understand that, King, but I got the Lord with me and I'm not worried about it. And you shouldn't be worried about it either. This verse 34, it says, and David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear and took the lamb out of the flock. And I went after him and smote him and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard and smote him and slew him. And thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he hath defied the armies of the living power. All right, so David's letting him know that this ain't his first rodeo either. You know, he's killed lions and bears. All right, because the Lord delivered him out of those things, and the Lord is going to deliver him, or deliver this Salakia. The Lord is going to deliver this Philistine into his hands, just like he did the lion and the bear too. You know, it says verse 37. David said, moreover, Yahweh that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go, and Yahweh be with thee. All right, so he knew that the Lord was going to deliver him, and that's the mindset you got to have. And that's why we get put in situations that are uncomfortable, that look dire, that look, you know, detrimental. But the Lord will deliver you out of those situations to build up your faith so that you can be like King David, man. That's why Sirach, the second chapter says, you know, when you come to serve the Lord, prepare yourself for temptation, roughly paraphrasing, because you're going to be put through shit. We are being put through the fire right now, man. But it's for our betterment. It's not to destroy us. It's to make us stronger. And it's to make us have this mindset that David has right here. The Lord got me out of that. The Lord got me out of that. The Lord going to get me out of the next thing. That's the mindset you got to have, man. And that's the only mindset that's going to defeat this devil. That's why the scriptures say, Yahweh Shai said not to be offended in him. Because guess what, man? We're going to have to go through some situations that a lot of people would take as offensive. All right, and the weak thing for you to do is to woe is me spirit, or to try to take a charge and put a charge against the Lord, which is completely wicked, and then get offended and turn your back from the plow. All right, because you don't have the faith that what you're going through is for the good. You're not going to get on the level that you need to get on being comfortable, man. All right. You think that when these lions and these bears was harassing David's flock, that he was excited about having to go and deal with that? No. It was a burden unto him, but he went and dealt with it, and the Lord delivered him out of it. And that's the same thing with us. We're going to be dealing with things that are burdensome to us, that are heavy on us, man. But the Lord is going to take care of all of that. You just got to have faith and be patient. Okay. This verse, this 1 Samuel 17:42, it says, and when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth and ruddy and of a fair countenance. All right. So, hey, man, Goliath saw that they sent the little kid, so-called, to go and challenge him, and it offended him, man. Because he's looking at how it looks on paper once again. All right. Verse 43, it says, and the Philistine said unto David, Am I a dog that thou comest to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air and the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistine, thou comest to me with a sword and a spear and with a shield, but I come to thee with the name of Yahweh of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. All right, so hey, once again, it doesn't matter what this devil got at his disposal. All right. David didn't come attacking this dude with a sword, with a shield, with a spear, like how was which is what were the conventional weapons of that day. All right. He had the Lord with him, man. So he came out there with his staff and with his slingshot, and that was what he had. All right. But that's the minds, but more than that, because the staff and the sling and the stone, none of that shit matters without the right mindset, man. Okay? He knew what was about to happen. He knew the Lord was going to deliver him, and that was his weapon. All right? For lack of a better term, that's what he was leaning on. He wasn't worried about having a sword. They offered him a sword. They offered him armor. That wasn't. He told them, that's not what I use, man. I didn't prove that. I'm not going to use it. All right. He went out there with his faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai and the boldness to stand in that faith. And that's why he was able to defeat Goliath. And that's the same mentality that we got to have if we're going to endure in this walk. Because like I said, this devil is the one with the armies. He's the one with the nukes. He's the one with the guns. He's the one with all that shit. He's the one that can lock you up and do all that. We can't do none of that shit to him. This is his kingdom. All right. Even in your daily life, these devils are the ones that's running the show. Your job is run by a devil. These devils, the ones that got all the money, so-called. All right? They the ones with all the power in this society. But what they don't have is Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. That's the one thing that you need. All that other stuff don't matter if you don't have the Lord with you. All right? And we got the Lord with us. And that's why we got to fight. And that's why we always got to have the right mindset while we fighting. And that's why we can't lose our faith in the Lord, man. Because that's what's going to deliver us, man. How can you lose if you don't believe that your greatest weapon, for lack of a better term, works? Then you're not going to win, man. We got the greatest thing on our side, the creators of the heavens and the creator of the heavens and the earth. All right, and we gotta have faith in that. This is verse 45. Again, it says, then said David to the Philistine, thou comest to me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield, but I come to thee in the name of Yahweh of hosts, the power of the armies of Israel, who thou hast defied. Shalakia. This day will Yahweh deliver thee into my hand, and I will smite thee and take thine head from thee. And I will give the carcasses of the hosts of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a power in Israel. All right, so, King David let him know, I'm going to kill you today. And I'm going to show you people that Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is the one true power. And that all this shit that you talking about don't mean nothing. All right. And that's what he did. It says, verse 47, it says, and all this assembly shall know that Yahweh saveth not with swords and spear, for the battle is Yahweh's, and he will give you into our hands. So like I said, what these devils got on paper does not matter. That's not what's going to win them this war, because we're at war with these devils, man. Make no mistake about it. All right. And once again, that's not an excuse for you to go outside and get carnal with nobody. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and against spiritual wickedness in high places. Our job is not to go out here and get carnal and try to not turn some shit, man. That's not what the scriptures say. We're here to preach this word and wait on Yahweh Shai. That's it. Once again, that's it. We're not here to go and harass Edomites, harass 1948ers. We're not doing none of that. This is their kingdom. Let them have it. All we here to do is preach this word. That's it. All right. This is verse 48. It says, and it came to pass when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David. Oh shit, it's lucky. Verse 48, and it came to pass when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag and took thence a stone and slang it and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him, but there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine, and took his sword, and drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him, and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. All right, so the Lord delivered King David in that day. And hey man, this is the cornerstone of his legend, man. One of the cornerstones of his legend, man. And his greatness. And it's all about the fact that he had faith in the Lord and knew that the Lord was going to deliver him, man. And the scriptures say that King David was a man after the Lord's own heart, man. He had the right spirit, and that's why the Lord delivered him. And that's why the Lord always fought for him. And that's why the Lord said that King David was a man after his own heart. Because his faith was in the right place, and he never doubted the Lord, man. He always had faith in the Lord. He was always humbling himself before the Lord, even when he was making mistakes, man. Because we all make mistakes, all right? But he never wavered. And that's the spirit that we have to have. That's the only thing that's going to get you out of here, man. Because this devil is going to bring everything to bear when the time comes, man. And when he really begins to understand that it's about to be over with for him, man. He's going to bring everything to the table. All right. But none of that shit is going to matter at the end of the day. Because the Lord is the one who decides who's the winners and who's the losers. All right. We're going to close it out with this Proverbs 21:31. It says, the horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of Yahweh. All right. So, hey, man, whatever your situation is, as an individual, however the situation looks for us as a whole, none of that shit matters, man. The only thing that matters is continuing to do this work, continuing to stay in this truth, and have faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and not to allow anything to interrupt that and to disrupt that, man. As long as you keep your faith in the Lord and you got the right mindset, you're going to be all right, because you're going to continue to endure in this truth. And if you got to lay your life down for Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, you do that cheerfully, man, because Yahweh Shai did it for us. And if you lay your life down while you in this truth, hey, man, you endure to the end, and you're going to be back here on the first thing smoking to put a foot in Esau's ass with Yahweh Shai. All right. And you have to believe that and know that that's what the real is, man. Don't allow this devil to use all of his machinations and to use his blessing to outsmart you, man. Because our blessing is greater than his blessing. That's why he's sour. All right, we got Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. He can have all this shit down here, man. Because it's about to get destroyed anyway. Okay? So with that being said, we're going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the Akim and a few Akwat who may be listening. Lord willing, this was an edifying lesson. Shalom and Kwam Yasharal.